Hey, this is Steve with Dabble Lab, and in this tutorial we're going to walk through using the Alexa presentation language, sort of an introduction to using the Alexa presentation language. But before you spend any more time watching, look at the description for this video, and if you see a link to an updated video, follow that link and watch the updated version. This stuff changes really quickly and you don't want to waste your time watching an outdated tutorial. Okay, with that, this is also a topic that I've covered before, and I think it was video 99. Yes, yeah, the last time I talked about the Alexa presentation language was this video here, which is about 5 months ago, and it is still current, the stuff in that video, but I used the Ask CLI and got a few comments from people that aren't familiar with the Ask CLI. And so I thought I would redo the this video. It's not really a redo, it's kind of an add-on too, because I've learned a lot more about the Alexa presentation language since I did this one. And so this time we're going to do it all using the Alexa hosted skills. But if you're interested in doing this with the CLI, watch 99. If you're interested in learning about the CLI, I think that is video, that was 61, I think. Yeah, so video 61 covers the using the Ask CLI, which basically lets you develop everything from the command line. And if you're interested in like an intro on the hosted skills, I just did one of those a few weeks ago, and that was 171. And so this just kind of a quick intro to using hosted skills, which I like because you can do everything in the browser. I still prefer, for building a complex skill, I still prefer using the CLI. But for kind of focusing on a topic for tutorials, the hosted skills, or doing simple skills, the hosted skills are awesome. So that's what we're going to do. We'll start here, create a skill, and we'll just call this one APL1. And custom skill you want to select, and then Alexa hosted beta, and then create the skill. And this takes a little while when you're using the hosted skills, because it's like setting up the back end. So I'm just gonna fast forward to the point that it's all set up, and that is where we are here. So now we're ready to go. The real quick before we start building, all of the code when you're using hosted skills is over here under the code tab, and the build tab, if you've used this before, this is all the same, but using the hosted skills, you get this code tab, and so that's why I'm doing it. It's just easier to show because we can just do everything in line. I do want to start with, I want to change the invocation name. We called it APL1, but you can't, that'll make me say Apple or whatever. I'm going to say APL, which if you wanted it to be like Alexa open APL1, you would do it like this. So A period, P period, L period, and then 1. And I'll save that. The first thing you need to do if you're using the APL is you need to add the interface for APL support. So you go to interfaces here, and then the Alexa presentation language interface, which is still beta now, but you want to just start by enabling that. And once that is done, we also want to add a couple of built-in intents that are going to be required for APL. So if you go to your intents here, and we're going to add some built-in intents. So we're going to use, let's see, I think one is the pause intent. Yeah, we're going to add that. And the resume intent. This one down here, we're going to add that. And the scroll intent also. There's multiple of these. We're going to add all of those. So we're going to add like the scroll down intent, scroll left, scroll right, and scroll up intent. And with those added, we have everything that we need, so we can save the model, and we can build the model or start the model building. And while that's building, that's going to take a little bit to build, I think. We'll just go over and hop into the code for our example. So what we're gonna do is we're going to use code that's generated. Actually, let me go back over here to build to show you. We're going to use this display editor. I'm going to open that in a new tab. I think it's a display editor, like an APL editor, but it's a tool that lets you create the APL templates, which are going to be used to render the interface. And you can start from scratch, or you can use some templates that are provided. And we're going to do that. We're going to start with a template that's provided. So I'm going to just use this one, this daily cheese one. So this, when our skill is working, what we want it to do now is we want it to display this screen here. And if you go back over here to our code, the way that we're going to do that, now that we've got the interface enabled and we've got the intents that we need, is we're going to go into our code, and we're going to create a couple of files that are going to hold the data that's going to be used to provide this kind of stuff, like the welcome to daily cheese and this reference here. So when you're working with APL, there are kind of two parts. There's the template itself, and the template is going to have sort of placeholders for the data that is going to be shown as a part of that template. And the data might be text, like welcome to the daily cheese, or a URL to an image, like in this case, this background image or the icon. And let me show you that here. We're going to get that from right here. So you'll look in the display editor or the APL editor tool. This example template here, they've got the template data, which is right down here, and it's kind of JSON-ish. And then the actual data example here, which is like the URLs to the images. And for this tutorial, we're just going to use what is provided, and then in a future tutorial I'll get into like changing this stuff out is really just pointing to images someplace else, and they need to be a certain size, and I'll cover that in another tutorial. But for right now, I want this, so I'm going to copy this and just go over here. Let me see. I think I'm gonna put it in. Put it in a folder. I'll create a folder called templates, and I'm going to create another folder called data. And in the templates folder, you might have multiple templates. So I'm going to start with a template called main. So I'm going to create a file in there, and I'm going to call it main.json. And this is where I'm going to paste that template code. So now I've got that here. I'm going to save it. And then in my data folder, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a file called main here also. And then in that, I'm going to paste the data example, or the data that they provide with the example template. So grab that and copy it, and then go back over here and paste it in. And so, and I'm going to save that. So now what I've got is my template and the data. And in an actual skill, you probably wouldn't hard code most of the data. It, would probably be dynamic. But again, we're going to cover that in a later tutorial. For right now, just know that you're going to need the data and the template file, which we've got here. And so now that I've got those in place, I just need to reference those in my index. So if I go in here, there's a couple of things that I'm gonna want to do. Like for starters, I'm gonna just make this stuff show up in the default or the launch handler here. So this handler is what happens when the skill is launched for the first time. So when the user says, open APL1, this is what's going to play here. And I'm gonna just copy and paste in here some code. I'm gonna require as a constant data, which is going to pull in the data, this data main, which we just created, and then template, which is going to pull this in. And now all I need to do to make that template display is I need to create a render document down here to render the APL document. I'll show you what that looks like here. So I'm going to do that right here. And so now with this, I have everything that I need to make this work. So now when, excuse me, now when I launch the skill and say Alexa open APL1, we should see that that example template pop up, and we can test that out right now. So I'm going to save that and then deploy it. And this is what pushes it out to AWS. You don't need to have an AWS account when you're using the hosted skills, the Alexa hosted skills. That stuff is all handled for you, but that's what's happening when you do deploy. So now I should be able to go over and test this. Go to the test tab and turn on testing for development. And then I'm just going to say,
welcome. You can say hello or help. Which would you like to try?
So now what we want to see is we launch the skill if we've got our APL, and we do right down here. So that is that's it for this tutorial. So it's pretty simple. We'll redo it so you can see it on the different hubs.
Which would you like to try?
So that is that's it for this tutorial. Just a real quick intro to getting set up with the APL, and in a future tutorial we'll go through modifying these templates and adding new templates and navigating with both touch and voice using the APL templates and documents. If you have any questions, please leave those and I'll respond just as quickly as possible. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful. If it was, please like it, and you can find over 100 other Alexa development tutorials and voice assistant development tutorials at youtube.com/Dabble Lab. Thanks so much.